What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tech in 30. I am your host, Chris Mackey from Blue Collar Marketing, and today I'm joined with a good friend of mine, Sam from Shwego, another really cool and exciting software for service contractors, man. Sam, pumped up to have you here. We've been chatting for a while and excited to kind of show off the software here, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be on.
There we go. Perfect, man. Well, without further ado, man, I think it would be nice just to kind of get people familiar and situated with yourself, man. Just tell a little bit about yourself here, man. You're a Philly native here. You're up in Philadelphia, man. Just
I
tell me
am,
the story.
yeah, Philly native. I got my Eagles playing this week, so
There we go.
we'll see, man. We're pumped. It's gonna be a tough game. We wish Andy Reid was that good when he was coaching for us.
Yes, sir.
He learned how to get good on our dime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There you go.
So yeah, I'm a Philly native. We're headquartered right outside of the city, probably 20, 30 minutes outside of the city in the suburbs. Um, Believe it or not, we got started in a similar space as you like 5 years ago. We were doing marketing and digital customer acquisition for service contractors all around the
Cool.
country, working with like a lot of plumbers and HVAC guys, and the software kind of grew organically out of that business. We sort of stumbled into it, to be honest with you.
100%.
Wasn't really planned. Um, we would do a lot of integrations with our clients, software, platforms, whatever they're using. And we saw a lot of guys on like Service Titan, House Call Pro, Jobber, like some of these really big platforms. So we would try to build like some marketing automations when like invoices would close. We'd send thank you emails to customers and ask them to leave Google reviews, that kind of thing. And I always saw like about like 50% of my client base, was still on paper
Mhm.
and was kind of like hard headed. They felt that they weren't technologically savvy enough to adopt one of these platforms, successfully, or they didn't want to pay, you know, top dollar, for some of these software, programs. I was always
Absolutely.
pushing them to buy one. I didn't have any like affiliation or anything, but I just knew that they needed, a lot of these guys have plans to sell their business one day.
For
And,
sure.
it's hard to sell a business, when, you have 50 filing cabinets in the basement, right, with no real data. I was always
Exactly.
pushing them to, move into the 21st century, but it was a little bit of a struggle. And then what kind of put us on this path is we brought on a drain cleaning company as a client. It's their local guy actually. I actually own the world. I'm kind of on this trajectory because of him.
Nice.
Um, they're a big company. They're doing like 25,000 drains a year,
Cool.
serious volume. And we got to the part in the onboarding process to integrate with whatever platform he was using, and he's like, "We don't have anything," and I'm like, "What?" Yeah, he had a Gmail account that all 15 of his technicians were all logged into one account on their
Jeez,
phone.
man. Yeah.
He's got like three girls in the office. The phones are ringing off the hook. When a call comes in, they were typing up the job notes, sending an email to that Gmail so everybody would see it. And then he had a full-time dispatcher that was texting people privately about which jobs to take. And it was like
Jesus, man.
chaos.
But he's just running and gunning, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was really pushing him to buy something. It was like over probably a period of about a month. I was pushing him, and he was like, "We looked at them. We don't think we can implement them successfully. They're too complicated." And he said, "My brother and I have an idea for just a really simple app. We need dispatching, scheduling, invoicing. Nothing too crazy." And I said, let me try to build it for you. Um, I'm not a developer, but I know I have a little bit of a mind, for that. And I built him a prototype using like a no code app builder.
Okay. Cool.
That was 2 years ago, and I spent a lot of time with him, sort of learning his processes and all that kind of stuff. And we implemented that. It was really successful. Completely changed his business. I mean, I'm saving him personally like 4 to 5 hours a day
Let's go.
texting, his technicians. He no longer has that dispatcher, working there. Guy really didn't have anything to do, because the
Yeah.
technology kind of replaced his job, unfortunately. But it was really successful. And then he started to refer me to other plumbers and different service contractors, and I resold that prototype to a couple other
Mhm.
people, but I realized it wasn't scalable. One, I didn't own the technology.
Yeah,
Two, it wasn't scalable. It was like I was having to rebuild it, every time I would resell it. So, but I knew there was an opportunity, coming from the space and seeing so many people that were still on paper. So I decided, let me try to hire some software developers and take what I built and turn it into an enterprise platform. Um, I took a stab at that first myself, um, but I didn't have the communication skills to be able to hold those developers accountable.
for sure.
And 7 or 8 months later, and a lot of money, they had a single form built, and I was
So
like
weird.
so frustrated, So I fired them, and I turned to a friend of mine, who's now my business partner. His name's Junie Kim, and he spent you know over a decade in corporate America doing software integrations, like big SAP, Oracle, software integrations. He was
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
like an architect kind of guy who would communicate with the developers and sort of hold them accountable. So I went to him for help, and really thought that he could help me bring it to life. So I asked him to be a partner, and he kind of helped me redesign. The initial design that I had was really, you know, not as efficient as it could be. So he helped me
Gotcha.
kind of redesign. We talked to more service contractors about their processes and really like
Mhm.
hone that in, and then we hired a team, 4 software developers, and then we finally brought the platform to life. And those guys are still full time members of our team. We
Wow.
decided to engage them on a long term basis, and we're continuing to build new features and new functionality. And really, what we're trying to be is we're trying to be sort of like the common man's
Nice, man.
software. Not some big VC Silicon Valley
100%.
firm. We're just we're trying to be sort of like that simple, easy to use platform that was kind of we our clients helped us design it from the ground up.
100%.
So it's sort of like a ground up approach, and we're trying to be sort of like the simpler version of some of the big platforms that are out there today.
Let's go, man. I think that's important too, man. Like especially on the story of creation. Like I find where like a lot of the more super corporate, larger scale softwares, they almost like they lose connection with their core user base in some aspects, man. So I think it's like really nice for you guys to really kind of fill in that gap, if that makes sense on that end. Like when you look at like that ideation process and the testing with the different contractors, man, like what were some of the processes that you've now found Shwego has been able to do a lot better for them and more efficiently? Like what were like some of those tedious things that people were dumping just time and time again
Yeah,
every day for?
yeah, it's a good question. So one of the things that we spent a lot of time on, because initially it was built for this, drain cleaning business, and if you're in their office, like their phones are ringing off the hook
For
all
sure.
day long, so they don't have time to, visit, 3 or 4 screens to be able to add a customer or
Yeah.
schedule a job. It needs to be fast because they can't spend a lot of time on the phone. Um, so that's sort of like what we think our claim to fame is we built it
Mhm.
very efficient, in terms of speed.
Nice.
Putting a job in or sending an estimate. We tried to really streamline that process so it's fast, and they're not having to visit multiple screens in order to do that.
100%, man. No, absolutely. That sounds good there, man. And then in terms of like some of the functionality that you have built into this, man, like what would you say is like, I guess maybe like top 3 features that you have in this software that you find has been really well received by the guys that you got have using it?
Yeah, I mean the thing's pretty simple. We only have 4 main core functions. So
Nice.
there's estimating, there's scheduling of jobs, there's dispatching, and then there's invoicing and payments or billing. So that's
Cool.
kind of the flow. You send a quote, gets approved, becomes a job. You dispatch the job, the work gets complete, you invoice the job and collect the payment. Right? It's pretty basic. So those are the 4 main features.
Yeah.
We decided, we saw a lot of our competitors doing really complex things, and I think if you're running a massive company, those features might apply.
Yeah.
We decided to ignore some of the stuff, like in talking to like our average client is probably like the guy that has like 3 to 5 trucks that's looking to grow to
Cool.
10, right?
Yeah.
And we talked to those guys. We said, are you doing this? Would you use this feature? And they're like, we're not even thinking about that, right?
Yeah.
So we
Big time.
decided just to ignore that stuff because we felt that it wasn't very important.
Absolutely, man. I think like on that side, man, like simplicity is best, man. Like when I talk to a lot of the guys that we work with, even who use some of the bigger softwares, like it's almost like feature overload. Like there's just way too much that's given to them, and then what happens usually is like they don't really even onboard properly, or they're not using 75% of the features that they're paying top dollar for, man. So
Right.
I think like having like that simple core stack there that's just solving like the core problems of, again, like that target customer for you, man, is perfect. What a lot of guys need, man, because they get just hit with like even like Jobber, Service Titan, House Call Pro, they just have so many different things in them. And it makes the onboarding just crazy, man. Like when
Yeah.
you onboard people onto this platform, like what does that look like? How does like the time of adoption, I guess, look like? Is it pretty well received? Is it pretty
Yeah.
simple?
I would say the majority of the time would just be spent in training, showing them how to use it.
Hmm.
But in terms of like onboarding,
Yeah,
I can get somebody up and running in an hour.
there we go.
Yeah.
Big time.
It's really, I mean, we did build some customization. We designed it to be very flexible, because we want to be able to sell it across, multiple industries. So
For sure.
we tried not to like paint ourselves into a corner where this applies to plumbers, but it doesn't apply to painters, as an
Yeah,
example, right? So we try to keep it as flexible as we can, so that every use case or business case, can be applied. Um, but yeah, I'd say that's what we're trying to, stick to is anytime we do build something, we really flush it out. We talk to, matter of fact, we're planning a dinner with some local clients where
cool.
we're inviting plumbers, we're inviting a painter, we're inviting a guy that owns a pest control business, a guy that's in HVAC, a guy that's in plumbing but on the construction side,
Nice.
because we're planning on rolling out something new, and we're gonna buy them all dinner, one night, and just
Let's
get
go.
everybody's feedback on how they do things, because that's important to us rather than
Hmm.
sitting around a conference room and thinking that we're right. We'd rather
Yeah,
like really make sure that what we're building is going to be useful.
100%.
Yeah. So
When you look at that too, man, like even when you guys first started like creating the like this software, especially before I guess like you met your business partner there, man, like when you guys started doing, I guess, more like rigorous like user testing with the actual guys there, were there certain things that you pulled out of like the first build, or you're like, oh man, I really need to get this in? Like what were some of the ones that you maybe not didn't expect that you had to put in there or had to take away? Does that make sense there in
yeah,
terms of that process?
it was a little bit of a we made some refinements over time, but to be honest with you, the initial version was basically built by my client.
True. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So we built him what he wanted, and it was kind of I wanted him to test it for like, this is a big operation. They're doing
Yeah.
like 100 drains a day, and I wanted him to test it for like a month.
Hmm.
Still keep running the way he was with like Gmail,
Hmm.
and he tested it for like 24 hours, and like I'm ready to roll this out, and he rolled it
Yeah.
out to the
Let's
entire
go.
company. And like every time he would call me, every time I'd see a text or something from him, in like the first 6 months, my heart would sink into my stomach like
Oh,
something
for sure.
crash.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, it was successful. We had a couple
Let's go.
little glitches, but yeah, it was kind of just like along the way, he would say, "Hey, this would be really nice, if we could have a field here, so we'd add that field or whatever."
Cool.
We kind of refined it along the way, but that initial version really helped us sort of understand, the daily processes of like a typical service contractor, and
Cool.
that was sort of the platform that allowed us to to build what we have today.
Nice, man. Yeah. And then when you look at, I guess, like that profile, man, because again, you said it nicely there too. It's not like you're pigeonholing your guys just to be for plumbing. Like this is very much for service contractors as a whole. Like who would you say is like, I guess and you talked on it briefly there, just in terms of like, guy has 3 to 5 trucks, trying to go to 10 trucks maybe down the road in terms of like a goal there. But like if someone was watching this, like who is like the ideal type of contractor for this, whether it's spanning across several service contracting industries? Like, what's the size look? What are some of the problems that they have? Like, what's like an ideal fit for like Shwego here?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's flexible. Anybody sending a truck to a job site, you know,
Cool.
the
Yeah,
commercial side, it can be used. I think there may be some project management tools out there that maybe are a little bit better on like construction projects, but
yeah,
really for on the service side of the business, like plumbers, landscapers,
yes,
locksmith guys, anybody going out to do service, it really, I think there's a wide, application. I think where we're having the most impact are with there's still a lot of guys out there that are on paper,
yeah,
know
big
they
time.
that know they need to transition. So that's where we're having the biggest impact, because I think what we built is a very simple software to adopt for somebody that's not used to running
Cool.
software. I think buying one of these big programs, I mean, even myself, I've seen some of them, with my old marketing clients,
For sure.
and I'm pretty tech savvy, and some of them I would get lost and wouldn't know, where to go. So we try to make it very user friendly. So a guy that's, used to writing his jobs down on a yellow tablet, feels comfortable
Big
implementing,
time.
if that makes sense. So that's sort of our target market. I mean, we will talk to people using other platforms if they're having some sort of issue, that we
Cool.
think that we can do it better. But if they're happy, why waste the breath in terms of trying to, convince them otherwise? We think there's enough people out there that need the help, that are still on paper, and that's really who we're trying to target.
Absolutely, man. No, sweet, man. Cool. The one thing I'm excited to kind of see a demo of this platform here, man. But before we do, I know you had a pretty cool story just in terms of how the name of the company was created here, man. So can you talk a little bit into that in terms of
Yeah.
like how Shwego was created in terms of the name there?
Yeah, I registered the name in 2000. I registered the domain in 2013,
Mhm.
Shwego.com. I had an idea to build an app. I was going to try to sell it to like college kids, right? So
Yeah,
it was like go around to like bars in college towns, and we're gonna try to put like live webcam feeds of the bars
cool.
on an app. So the name is like you're sitting around on a Friday with your buddies and saying like, where should we go tonight?
Yeah,
Should we go to
yeah.
bar? Should we go to that bar? And you could go on and see like where the hot spots were. That was
Hmm.
like right when Snapchat became like they had all those live stories and everything. And
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have the know how. It was a good idea, but I had no clue what I was doing back then. I was too young.
For
It's
sure.
sort of pipe dream. But I always liked the name, and I just kept renewing the domain. And then when we decided to build this, I said this could be a great name, because for a dispatching app, right? Should which job should we go to first,
Big time.
right?
Yeah, let's
That's
go.
the idea. It's sort of like a slang for should we go? Should
Big
we?
time.
Yeah,
100%, man. No, I like it always everything comes full circle, you know? So
it's weird. Yeah,
that's sweet, man.
yeah,
Cool, Sam. Well, the I want to see this platform here, man. So
yeah.
I'll give you the
Sure.
opportunity here to share your screen here, brother. But
Yeah, sure.
yeah, just
Let me share my screen here. Give me 1 second.
yeah, take your
Uh,
time.
all right, all right, cool. Yeah, so I'll take you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll just take you through like a basic process that I think. I mean, we have a lot of customization stuff in the admin settings, but I'll kind of just take you through a basic process of what like a typical client might do when a customer calls them, for a job, or if they want an estimate or something like that. So everything kind of starts at this new request button up here in the top left corner. This is, we kind of try to keep it really simple. So yeah, there's a couple different steps here. First, you add the customer. So if the customer's already in the system, you can search for them quickly here and just add them. If they're not, you can do a quick add right here in line without actually having to leave the screen. That was really important for the drain cleaning guy, not to have to go create a customer first and then schedule a job, right?
Absolute. Yeah.
Um, Next, you'll select a job site where the work is actually being done. So for residential customers, their address defaults to the job site address, but customers can have multiple job sites and they can be named. A
Hmm.
lot of commercial customers might have like 3 or 4 buildings, as an example. Um, so you select where the work is actually being done. You assign a billing contact to the job. So that's the person paying the invoice or approving the estimate. Um, you could also select, you could also assign a different job contact. So if you have to, let's say you have to call a tenant when you get there and the tenant's going to let you in, you can indicate that there's a different job contact, and then the technician will know who to reach out to, when he gets there. The second step is this is where you're going to add your notes. So all these drop down menus are customizable. So you can customize all these different job types in your admin settings. I'll just kind of select like a sewer line as an example. They can assign a lead source. All their lead source channels are customizable as well. So if they want to track like revenue attribution based on different marketing channels or different advertising campaigns they're running, they can do that, and it will follow the estimate to the job to the invoice, all the way through. So even if you don't close that job for like another 2 months and won't get paid until another month after that, you can still run those attribution reports.
Big time.
If you know how the customer is going to pay ahead of time, you can indicate that. You could put billing notes, customer required to pay invoice upon completion of work as an example. This would be where your job notes might go. Replace the sewer line. Obviously, they'd probably put some more notes in there, than what I'm putting in. They can mark it urgent. If it's urgent, if it's a callback from an old job, they can select this callback button, and then this is going to pull through a job history for that customer.
Cool.
And you can select, what job it's a callback from. And if you assigned a warranty to that old job, it will tell you when that warranty expires. We felt that was important because we found that a lot of service contractors giving warranties out kind of like willy-nilly, and they have no real system for like knowing when those warranties expire, right? So this is a way to kind of check that.
Yeah, keep it tracked.
Yep. This is where they build out the actual quote, or like this is almost like their work order for the job. So they can select from tasks that they have saved in the system. This would be almost like they could build almost like a price book, right, in the system. Or they could edit these after the fact. They're not set in stone. So if they wanted to change the price or whatever it might be, they could also add as many manual, line items. So let's say like excavation as an example, and maybe that's $1,000. I'm making that up. So they could add as many line items to this as they want. This is, they're basically building out like their list of tasks for the job, and also like their estimate if they're sending an estimate.
Cool.
From here, they can take two pathways. So they can either send this as a quote to the customer for approval, or if the customer's already kind of given them the go ahead, they can skip the quoting process. They can give it a date, a time. They can assign it to a technician and put the job on the board. Right. Nice. I'll send the quote just to kind of show you what that workflow looks like. Cool. So I sent this out. We're now in the quotes tab here on the left-hand side. We have a quote that's in sent status. There's no job yet because it's still a quote, right? I have my email tied to this, so this will pull through the logo is customizable. All this information is customizable. This is just a test account, just to kind of show you. Here's the line items they add to the quote. This legal statement is customizable. This is like your electronic, like approval legal statement. They can also attach a copy of their terms and conditions of their contract, which will link here to the quote. It'll pull through the quote as a PDF attachment as well on the email if the customer wants to print it or email it to somebody else. The customer can then reject or approve the quote right here in the email. So I'll approve this one just for time's sake. So if we come back here and I refresh my screen, this quote is now approved. Yeah. Automatically converts that quote to a job.
That's nice too, man, because it cuts out the step of like just saying like, yeah, let's go through with it, and that gets like lost in the inbox. The fact that they can just click a button there and it like talks back to the system, I think that's a key part.
Yeah, and on our mobile app, which will be coming out shortly, we'll have a signature as well. So if they have like a tablet or something where they want the customer to actually sign.
Fresh.
So now, if we want to look at jobs, there's three different ways to look at jobs. We have a job list, which is sort of like your job board. We have a calendar and we have a map. So that job is now on our job board. It's in unassigned status because it was just approved. It hasn't been put on the schedule yet. Yeah. This would be like a dispatcher view where they could see the entire company. Technicians would only see a list of jobs that are assigned to them. if that makes sense.
Yep.
They have some quick filters. So if they wanted to, see like only this technician's schedule as an example, or the jobs assigned to that technician, they could do that. They could filter by status, by time, by date. So a dispatcher might come in here and say, like, show me everything that's unassigned. And then they have to go schedule this and assign this to somebody, dispatch the job. So what they would do is they'd click into the job. They would give it a date. So let's say we're going to do it tomorrow. They could assign a time slot to it. So these time slots are all customizable as well. I have some default ones in here, but they can create as many time slots with like start and end time as they want and name them.
Cool.
Based on how we try to make it flexible based on how they run their schedule. And then they can assign it to a technician. So this would be a list of all the technicians in the system. Once I assign that, this will flip to assigned status, as you see up here. If I come back to my job list, this job is now assigned. The way we decided to build the calendar, a lot of our competitors, they make you put an exact time on the job. And then, all these service contractors are typically giving customers like windows. So if you have a window that's like, 12 to 4, and you're putting 12 p.m. for all your jobs, it's like the calendar looks like a mess. You have like a million jobs, right? So what we decided to do is build out these little time slot blocks with a count of how many jobs are in that window. And we also have, the same filters up here. So if you only wanted to see this technician's schedule as an example, you could click him. These jobs are assigned to this Bill Thompson. So that's why they disappeared. If you click into it, you'll actually see, the job, if that makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We also will throw a pin on a map, right? So that an urgent job has this little exclamation point. It's a black pin. This job down here, which is the blue with the plus sign, is the one we just put in. That means that it's assigned. We have Google Maps. So the technician would see, like, if he looked at the map, he would see like any jobs that are assigned to him. He could click on this for Google Maps driving directions, to get to the job. He could also click into the job to see the details. What a technician would do is when he gets to the job, the way we organized it is a couple different tabs up here. So the pre-job info, that's like all the notes that the office put in, everything that he has to do, as an example. If it was a callback job, he could click back into that callback job to see previous notes, for the old job. He could see the different contacts. It indicates what type of contact they are. So here's the job contact that he might have to reach out to. The job site with another link to Google Maps. Here are the tasks that he has to do. These would be like any of the notes down here. You could attach files. So if you had like drawings, or like maybe the customer sent some pictures ahead of time that you wanted to attach to the job for the technician to reference.
Cool.
When he's done, he would go to the post job and he could give it a warranty. So all these warranty lengths are customizable. So let's say they give a 1-year warranty on sewer lines. He could put his notes in here, install the sewer line. Obviously he'd probably put some more, detailed notes. He could also attach images, so, if he wanted to take pictures of the completed work or whatever it might be. We have a job costing section. So if they want to track material costs, and then they can run gross, profit reports, or look at their cost of goods, at a job level as well. So after the notes are put in, all the technician has to do is click complete. This will complete the job. It'll flip it to complete status, and it will automatically generate an invoice based on the work order.
There we go.
They can send the invoice, out to the customer here via email. I'll show you what that looks like. So now we're in the billing tab in the job. So here's that invoice that was generated, for 7,000. If I come back to my email, this will go out to the customer, the invoice. If they get set up with our payment processor, the customer will be able to click pay this invoice and pay the invoice online with a credit or debit card.
Nice.
That's a few weeks out from being live, but that's
cool.
That's in the works. Also, we'll attach the invoice as a PDF. They could also record like a manual payment. So if they click into the invoice, let's say the customer handed them a check, and maybe it's not the full amount. Maybe it's only, $3,000. They could put a memo in here, check number 404 or whatever it might be. That'll record that payment, and you'll see that the invoice moves to partially paid, and it calculates, the outstanding balance due. The company admin can come into the invoices tab and they can see sort of a list of all of his invoices with their statuses.
Cool.
It'll count like how many days, the invoice is past due, if it's past due. Um, if this customer then, issued another payment, let's say another check, and for the remaining amount of 4,000, this invoice is now paid in full, right after the total balance is satisfied. We also have a payments section which will record all the payments that came in. All these we sort of display all the data, but these columns are customizable, so you can turn certain columns off if you don't want to see certain.
There you go. Nice.
And this will have a record of any payments that came in, what customer they're related to, what job they're related to, and what invoice they're related to. If you click into the customer profile, this is like where you have all your history for that customer. So this is all their information up here, any contacts related to the customer, any job sites, all the quote history, related to that customer, any jobs you've done to that customer, the entire job history, the entire invoice history. You could download these invoices or resend them, right from the system here. When an invoice is paid in full, it'll have like the total details for the invoice. It'll also have a payments section, which records, the dates that the payments were made and how they were made,
Cool.
if there's an outstanding balance or anything like that. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's again, we designed it to be pretty
100%.
straightforward and simple, and we try to keep the UI, really, simple, so that they really understand where they are in the system and they're not getting like lost, in the chaos of technology, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, man.
So that's basically it. We also have like an advanced search. So like if a customer called and they wanted to put in like an address, it'll comb the entire database for any customers that have that address, any contacts, any jobs. It'll pull through the job number, what type of job it was, the date you did the job site address, and then the related customer. So they could click into any of these details, from an advanced search perspective.
Cool.
So that's basically it, man. We kept it, pretty straightforward and as simple as we possibly could.
There you go, man. No, I think that's the best, man, is making it simple but effective, right, Sam? Like you want to make sure that, especially when these guys are, operating, for example, like a plumbing business and they're still using one Google account with like hundreds of Google Sheets and just paper, man. Like you want to have like the next nice step to be something that's very like approachable, man. So yeah, that looks kick-ass, man. Like nice and simple, nice and effective, man. I'm excited for some of those new features that you're saying that are coming too, like the paying the invoice online stuff. Like that'll be sweet.
The two big things that we're working on. Well, there's three big things that will be released. Payments will be released within the next few weeks.
Cool.
We're almost done with that. Where the way it'll work is our clients will apply directly, with the payment processor, and then we just integrate that account, with our software. We worked out a really aggressive deal, with that payments provider. So we think that they're going to be able to save some money. If they already have a merchant provider that they love and they don't want to leave, the tech stack that we integrated with, we can map to virtually any major bank.
Cool.
So they can keep their existing provider as well and still integrate with our software. So that's coming. And then our mobile app is, right now we're giving tablets away to our clients for free.
Cool. There you go.
Responsive and works well on a tablet, but we'll have a mobile app shortly, and then we're also doing a direct QuickBooks integration as well. A lot of people are asking for that. If you're on a cash accounting basis, you don't really need it because all your invoices are here, and QuickBooks is linked to your bank account. So revenue in your bank account is revenue on your P&L in QuickBooks.
For sure.
But I think a lot of people are just sort of set in their ways and they're used to invoices being there. So we're building that just to sort of appease people.
Let's go, man. Okay, sweet, man. That's some exciting stuff coming up, man. Now, I guess like in terms of like a final question, final hurrah, man, is like someone sees this, man, they want to get in contact with you. What's the best way to get this process started with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're still pretty small right now. I mean, they can contact me directly.
Cool.
I mean, they can visit our website, which is shwego.com, shwego.com. And there's a bunch of different ways to contact us. They can book a demo online, or they can, call us. But they can also call me, directly on my cell phone number. It's 610-955-2994. And I'll pick up. If I don't get back to them, I'll get back to them probably within an hour.
Let's go, man. It's
Yeah.
the benefits of working with a hungry team, man. I think that's perfect there, brother. Well,
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on here, Sam. And I think that was a sweet demo and just learning more about the actual platform here. For everyone watching, I'm going to put the details in terms of getting in contact with Sam as well as Shwego.com there, so you guys can give it a test run and get going there. But seems like an awesome company, brother. I think you're really hitting that mid gap there in terms of like something that's super simple, effective, also affordable, where it doesn't have a billion features there to kind of confuse people. Man, I think this would be an awesome thing for a lot of service-based contractors, brother. So I appreciate you coming on, and thanks so much for chatting here, bro.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Awesome. We'll catch you next time, bro.
All right, take care.